Peace and blessings, y'all. This is your boy Youre. It is Sunday, June 12th, 2016. How is everybody doing? I hope that your weekend finds you well. I hope that you allowed yourself time to rest. No, I'm not talking about a couple hours here, a couple hours there, but yet you have not allowed yourself emotionally to recover. How about to reflect on your week? That week you just came through, and now you are starting to prepare for a new phase of experiences, interactions, as well as oh yeah, there you go. Can you see it? There you go. Smells really good, y'all. Uh, Experiences, wisdom, validations, and reflections. So how you doing, y'all? How was your weekend? How was it? Was it peaceful? Did you give yourself ample time to take stock, take inventory on what you experienced? I mean, truly take in what you sacrifice, your time. Because your time is your greatest commodity. It's your money, y'all. That's what it is, because you can't get back time that was spent, invested. You can't. So it's very, very important that you govern it. And with that said, as I put this up, I don't want to burn it. There's no words that I can convey to you how grateful I am to have this moment. It's the reason why I do it. I do it because the fact that I know there's going to be somebody, the intended heart, the intended mind, that's going to stumble, be guided, or shared this video. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely thank you. Because see, for those who have been following me, they know that there are going to be some commonalities of things that we're going to agree upon. There are going to be some things that you're going to flat out not like. But I hope, if anything that comes from this video, you just do the research. Invest. Invest in yourself. Because let's be honest, we know from a materialistic position, all the things that you have in your possession, those things that were given, those things obtained by your efforts, they only serve as a means of the moment. I know I'm talking to someone that we emotionally connect with, but we can't take with us. No, they just serve as a tool. So this morning, y'all, as I was starting my day, I was out and about driving, and I'm like, man, why is it seems like the things that should matter, should be valued, they always take a back seat. And the things that really only have value are things that are put on the economic or the social pedestal. They have more weight. And I'll explain. You know that there are certain things required by you to get to that end goal for your life. Some may be saying, well, you know what? To have this job, I have to go to this school and gain the knowledge that is taught, and that knowledge will open up a door so I can either intern or experience it. But how many times do we see this play out? A person will invest time, invest monetary access to get to a place of possessing it and realize that's not what they needed. It was not what it wasn't even theirs. It wasn't even their dream, their ambition. It was just something that was, you know what I'm saying? It was pushed upon you. Okay, all right, here you go. That's just like a parent telling their child from toddler stage, you're going to grow up to be a doctor. That's what you're going to do. And they groom that child with the mindset that one day I'm going to be a doctor. And then after all the education is done, after all the work has been completed, that doctor hates their job. They have a deep resentment, a deep loathing. But when asked, hey, why are you so bent out of shape? You got it going on. You a doctor. You're making 6 figures. And they can't even tell you not one thing that they enjoy out of it, because the truth of the matter is they don't know them. Same goes with these parents that groom their children to be athletes. Prime example, Tiger Woods. He was groomed at a young age and became this child prodigy. Gained a whole lot of success from it at a young age. But did Tiger know Tiger? But the world knew Tiger when Tiger started to mess up. When Tiger was not playing his social role. I wonder how many times Tiger behind closed doors, like, I don't want to pick this. I don't want to hit another ball again. Maybe Tiger Woods wanted to be a football player, soccer player. Only Tiger knows that. And I believe as he was being groomed, he was also being protected. But he didn't have no legitimate friends. He had a bunch of opportunists that saw the potential in him and systematically wanted to find a way to latch on to go for the ride. Notice when all the things started to come to light, you didn't have not one person speak in his behalf. Endorsements were being pulled. Not one person spoke in Tiger Woods' behalf. Not one thing positive. Does that surprise you? They ostracized him while they built a platform for everybody else. They were just waiting. And I believe that, no, it is not racism. Not at all. It was business. Because you cannot tell me that in the Woods household, the Woods family tree, that there were some things about Tiger that no one spoke on. Why is that? Because they didn't want to mess that money train up. Here's my point. I believe a lot of people are waking up, y'all. And I believe a lot of people are starting to look deeper in their family dynamics. And there's a lot of things that, because loyalty to the bloodline, the family, you know. And that's why you hear people say, I'm going to keep my secrets. We keep it in the family because you know. Mm-mm. But not one person, not one. It was okay while he was a golden child, while that ATM was cranking out those numbers. But guess what? We see that every year, don't we? There's always an illustration every year. Somebody gets in trouble. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe that we all get to a place in ourselves where we're standing in a crossroads between what makes us happy to what makes us secure. No different than what is condonable and what is a need. See, at the end of the day, you need to feel emotionally safe. You need to make sure that your physical well-being is protected. You need to speak your truth. But at what cost? Does it surprise you that more ever than ever, we're starting to see the examples of where parenting was nothing but the promoter? This has been going on since beginning of time. You see this. Parents will have a position and be like, hey, I don't want you to mess with this type of caliber people. And they'll start to groom them a certain way. And then all of a sudden, they start acting out. They start rebelling. They start doing things unbecoming of the family representation. The apple don't fall far from the tree, y'all. So the question is, why do we not look at that? Why do we give that a pass? Why do we choose not to address the things that should be addressed? Where did we go? How did we get there? You know what I'm saying? How did we get to that point where you see something going on that's not right, but you are more fearful if you speak on it? You know what happens to people that that suppress who they are? Eventually, they end up having emotional breakdowns. Or socially, you may hear this term. They have midlife crises. But really, that ain't nothing but emotional breakdowns. But I also look at it as there is a battle for you between your social standing and your moral compass. So let's turn the page. It is 2016, y'all. And the things that should matter don't. We've heard people echo the term cash is king through the years, through the decades. But it's so evident now. And the question should be, why? Hold on one second, y'all. Thank you for your patience. It's become more evident each year. Each year, when you think that we've hit our bottom, we ain't. There's another example of what not to do. You know, P.T. Barnum once said, "A fool and his money will soon part," and that is so true. Just look at the retail industry. Look at it. They'll come out with something, and everybody will gravitate to it. Like, for example, what was the big item last year? Hoverboards. Everybody and mama damn near sold their soul for a damn hoverboard. Even the bootleg business made money off of it, made millions of dollars off of that device. Now, drones. There was so much paranoia about drones and uh, how drones were an invasion of privacy, and we've seen illustrations of people getting injured. You know, even people turned around and said, "I got something for that," and they were shooting drones out of the sky. But does it surprise you that maybe they systematically did that because they knew all along that they were going? That's technology. That's going to be around. Ain't no different than smart TVs, y'all. Ain't no different than your cell phone, your smartphones. Why? Because they knew that that's the next level of advancement. So You better get used to it now because it's going to be the norm. Of course, they're going to start from those who have, compared to the dude on the corner who got who's got that is being generated by rubber bands, whatever. They know that. They know. But you know what? What I never understood was this. The more advanced we become as a society technologically, it seems like as a community, we take 10 steps back. Have you noticed that? The more advanced we become by means of technology, morally, we take 10 steps back. And, it amazes me because the concept of focus and what I mean by that is it's the same. It's the same practices you would do with a crying baby. If I show you something new, something flashy, you'll stop crying because your intuition will cause you to analyze and wonder or gravitate to something that you've never seen, foreign, right? Okay, so let's do a 360-degree turn and say the wonder, the allure is who you really are. Why are we not taking the same emphasis when it comes to who we really are? I'll take the political rant out of it. I'm talking about that little boy, little girl in you. Why aren't you doing that for yourself? I'll tell you why. Because some of you are so hard bent to admit to yourself that you have been deceived. Am I talking to somebody? Your environment has convinced you through your upbringing that your path is supposed to be this way. But your spirit says this way. And there is a conflict between physical self and your spiritual self. Does it surprise you when the things that you know are not good for you? The only way that you can actually sign off is you have to be inebriated, impaired. But when the desire of that effect wears off, what happens? Your guilt comes into play. Your rejection and loathingness of something you knew you shouldn't have embraced. Let me tell you something. What I've come to learn in my journey to be a man, I'm a spiritual man first. First of all, I don't get caught up on the allegory that man displays. Here's what I mean. We use only 6% of our brain, correct? But this right here, it's endless. Your mindset is like a universe. You can put all the stars, I'm just using that as a description. What you put in there is going to promote them steps on the direction you go, right? You with me on that part? Okay. So if you don't put positive stuff that's required for the betterment, the advancement of you, does it surprise you that your reality matches? Oh, I know I'm talking to someone now. Because we attract who we are. You know how I always talk about, you know how they put out The Secret and stuff like that. Remember we put that out? They put that out. Well, the greatest secret was all the money they were gonna make off of your attention. The greatest secret that you're gonna ever come to learn is the real you, not who you know, not what you obtain. Don't you realize nothing has value until you possess it? You understand what I'm saying? Okay, think of it this way. Say you go into a store, right? Store of your choice. You see a shirt hanging on the rack, right? Catches your eye. Okay. You look at the price tag, right? Okay. So you're assessing the value of whoever made it. That's the value. But the true value measured is if how much it's going to cost you to possess it. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is this: that shirt that's hanging on that rack has no value until you decide to claim it and make it yours. So what about your self-worth? Because that is an original. How about your self-respect? That's priceless. But far too many times, we want to wager, we want to barter our self-worth to the value of what's found outside our door. But you know what's so ironic about that? Until because we do things by way of impulse. That's why advertisement is a $1 billion a year industry. A lot of times you end up getting this. You get a drawer, a closet full of stuff that you didn't need. Because guess what? Remember the value that you invested to possess that? It means nothing when you go outside the door. So that's ego. That's insecurity. That's why serial shoppers, you know the ones, they hoard. They got all this stuff and well, why you need that? They can't tell you why. Because that's feeding an emotional need inside them, a desire to validate them. But to someone else, that's junk. I don't care what you pick. For example, we'll say, okay, say Corvette. What? Corvette runs you about $100,000, $130,000, depending on what it is. Can that Corvette do anything different than a $30,000 car? They both have four wheels. They both have a steering wheel. They both have an engine. The mechanics is the same. It's the accessories that separates the two. So what about you? What separates you from that next guy? Other than the physicality. The mechanics is still the same. You have a brain, you have a heart, you have two lungs. I mean, you have a set of lungs, two limbs, 2 feet, 2 legs, a spirit, a blessed spirit. Commonalities, you both have the opportunity to do the same thing, go down the same path, but it means nothing if you don't know who you are. I know somebody's getting that. So, or what you're willing to do to go down that path. Does that surprise you nowadays? People don't even have shame anymore. They're willing to sacrifice their kids for financial advancement. Really? They're doing it. Remember, you never saw those aspects in the public eye. Now, oh, going right up front, Jimmy. Come on, going up there. That's why you see all these parents living through their kids. But then everybody's shocked when that child grows to a certain level and then they just wild out. Why? You know what happens? You know why they're doing that? Because for the very first time, they're starting to hear their voice. What I mean by that is the real you, the core you. And they're being made aware. So listen, what I'm trying to get you to understand is this. I don't care it doesn't matter if you're 13 or you're 65. It doesn't matter. As long as you're alive, guess what? So are your dreams and aspirations. You know what happens to a dead dream? You know why dreams die? Because that person gave up on who they were to accept the environment they were in. A person can't drown unless they give up swimming, trying to stay afloat, no matter how the current is. A person doesn't drown until they give up. And that's been the underlying current in our society for the last 30 years, 40 years. A lot of people want to take the easy route, then invest in themselves. Do you not see that? You got a lot of people got this win at all cost mindset. So what? I got to compromise myself to get there, but I'm paid. Okay, you paid, right? But you can't pay for your self-respect. You can't. Case in point. Why is it that everybody that are financially successful are miserable? Because they're not living their real life. They see what it costs to have that. You can't get up 2:30 in the morning and walk into 7-Eleven without getting mobbed, or get up and just go to the movie during prime time. Why? Because you put a price tag on you. Or worse, you allow them to attach the strings to get you to walk, to talk, and act a certain way as a means of belonging. I keep trying to tell you, the reason why you keep going through the things you're going through is to remind you That's not where you should have been all along. But guess what? Only you can move your feet. Just like only you can use that beautiful mind. It's free will, y'all. Take that victim card out, because that victim card is what's holding you back. Hold on. Tyson, be quiet. So that makes me come to question a couple things. You would think that people that are successful would be the most happiest people on the planet, but they're the most paranoid. Why? Why is that? You got everything you want. Why are you acting erratic? I'll tell you why. It's because your spirit is not at peace. And you're looking and operating under the construct of man. Well, I keep trying to tell you that every time anything that man does with man's hands is not designed forever. It is only designed for a season. So guess what? Eventually, it's going to fail. The reason for that is because God's not there. And I think a lot of people are starting to see that. And I think as a community, we're seeing the byproduct of that because, we always hear this term, the Great Deception. But I think a lot of people are starting to wake up. Some don't. But I'm going to tell you I'm going to tell you what, well, the first great deception was when the devil convinced man that he didn't exist. And with that is when man decided to think that he was God. No, God created you. He made you perfect. He made you perfect. That's why you look the way you do. I know somebody saying, well, Gerald, I got these imperfections. You know why you have your uniqueness? Because he wanted you to master who you were from the inside to bring that person out. I know I'm talking to someone. And I think that's why a lot of people walk around with a lot of pain, a lot of torment, and it's being projected in your actions. And people are scratching their head and saying, are you crazy? No, you're not crazy. The denial is wearing off. And you are being forced to make a choice over security or your happiness. Am I talking to somebody? Because money doesn't make happiness. I know you know that too, right? Yeah. Your life was not created to go to the highest bidder. That's why each one teach one is so important. My kings, you can't get mad at the behavior of your daughter if you ain't there. You'll come to understand that she's acting out and will continue to act out until you make your position known. I had to learn that one for myself because I've revealed to my family. I have a daughter. My daughter's 17 years old. Yeah, yes she is. And even though she is book smart, always driven, I know my daughter's got a hole in her heart in the shape of me. And she desperately needs my interaction. And she's going to get it. So, baby girl, if you've seen this video, read between the lines. Daddy loves you. But I also understand this. A lot of this tomfoolery that we see going on is nothing but nonverbal. It's just nonverbal for attention. It's attention seeking, no matter how destructive it may come off. Because think about it. If a person is truly happy, they're emotionally safe. That means their environment makes them feel safe to a degree. Otherwise, why would they be there? There's no benefit in being somewhere where you don't belong because you can't get the time back. But I've started to notice, and you may have noticed this too, the pendulum is swaying backwards now. Balance is starting to be restored. And a lot of people that had certain perceptions are starting to see things more clearly. And they're taking stock in not only what they stand for, but also what they needed all along. How about those of you that are still walking around on this planet and you've got secrets? What did I tell you about holding on to secrets? To hold on to secrets is futile because even God said it best. What is done in the dark, exactly. And haven't you noticed the longer you hold on to this position, it's like someone's raising a shutter up. They're opening the blinds and they're being exposed. They have to. You know why? That's part of the purging of your spirit. I know some people are terrified because they're saying, well, Gerald, if people knew how I aligned myself or I obtained something and the merits that came about to have this, I wouldn't be able to lift my head. The reason why you feel that way is because you have yet to take accountability nor forgive yourself. Because when you decide to forgive yourself, you'll also make a conscious decision to stand. The desires will change. The clarity will be there. And you'll also understand what is required to have that peace. Do you understand what I'm conveying? You will never find inner peace outside your door. What's required is found inside you. It was there the whole time. What's outside your door is just a means of distracting you from you. So therefore, that's why you're angry. That's why you feel like no one gets you. That's why you may feel alone. Let me tell you something. You're never alone. You never was. You never was. But the kicker is why you felt that you wasn't good enough. Do you realize how many people walk around covertly that they feel they're not good enough? So what do? They become walking imitations. That's why there's never going to be a reward to act unbecoming of yourself. There's no blessing in that. But pain, delusion, anger, resentment, that's not part of your walk. Never was. So you're saying, what do I do now, Gerald? What do I do now? Because I know some of y'all, your heart is palpitating right now because I'm talking to your spirit. Just know you got angels that are fighting a good fight. They trying to remove those roots, them spiritual blocks. How about them soul contracts and soul ties? They fighting for your life. And then maybe that might be the reason why you really are just one disappointment before that storm comes. Some of y'all know you feel like you're an emotional sea, like you got a dark cloud over you. No matter what you do, it always turns up wrong. Nah, devil's a liar. He's attacking your mind. Well, he's not doing it. Them demons is. And you know that. You already knew that from day one. Because remember how your life was before they walked into it? I know I'm talking to somebody. How about that person that you interact with and you said that there's something about? Didn't know him from a can of paint. No, you felt their spirit. And the weaker spirit will be compromised by the stronger one. That's why you see so many people act, walk, talk, because that's a spiritual influence, y'all. That's part of the deception. Queens, you know I love you, but you got to learn to love yourself. Stop inflicting pain. Stop self-mutilating yourself. Oh yeah, come on now. Ain't enough. There ain't a drink strong enough to bury that pain. That's why you're walking around numb. You've been convinced by your environment that to be loved is to be in the act. No, to be loved is to love who you are. You make your reality. It's spiritual. But see, I also understand too, y'all. Some of y'all have been in your spiritual storm and you have a false sense that your pain is your reality. You said, that's all I know, Gerald, so I build upon that. But guess what? When you build upon the sand, what happens? Your foundation is your connection with God, y'all. Always was. But see, nobody can make you do what you don't want to do. That's free will. I could turn around and have your blueprint of your life and say, hey, look, if you start from step 1 to step 100, the end result will be that. That's exactly what your spiritual connection with God is for. You don't believe me? Well, look at this. Do you actually think that the just look at all the women out here that are out here on these videos, out here doing porn, out there betraying themselves. If they love themselves truly, do you think they would engage in that? No. No, they wouldn't. I'll do one better. Does it surprise you why kings, when you meet that someone and you meet their mother and she's got a vile disposition towards you? You know why she does that? Number one, because there's some spiritual intervention going on and they don't want to break that tie. So that, they got to get you up out of it. Especially if you got a connection with God, they don't want you to mess up what they doing. That's all demonic, y'all. I know I'm talking to somebody. You hear me? It's your responsibility to make your dreams your reality. For those people that are into esoterics, before you can manifest anything, it must be a behavior first. And before it's a behavior, it must be a pattern. And before it's a pattern, it's a thought. So how did that thought get here? Spiritual influence, good or bad. I know you see I know you see it. But you know what's going to be sad? And I didn't talk long enough. I give it 20 years from now. These young girls are going to be mothers, if they're not already. And those mothers are going to be grandparents. And many of them going to have burdens unbearable because the things that were done in the dark have come out. And you see this all the time too. You'll see the grandparent will pour all this attention in the grandchild. And then the parent is scratching their head like, wait a minute, you didn't give me that. So now you are doing that. You know why they do that? It's because that's their way of trying to make up wrongs that they've done. They've gotten the insight and the wisdom. What about the spirit? That's why you have so many grandparents right now being accosted and like, I don't understand why my grandson and my grandbaby, why they act out. Because you are not walking with the spirit. You don't have a relationship with God. It is nothing but a form of feeding your ego. So what is a tree that is being nourished with bad waters? Sure, that tree will continue to grow, but those fruits will be sour until they cut it down. That's not supposed to be your story, y'all. It never was. So you need to ask yourself this. Have that conversation with yourself. Make a declaration with yourself. If you have to sit down and write a pros and cons listing of the things that you like about you compared about the things you don't, and look at the conclusions between the both of them. Two things you're going to see. You're going to see the duality of yourself and the opportunity to change it. But ask yourself this. Is God in any of that? Would God approve of that? Are you truly in control of your life? Or are you allowing your life to be wasted? And when you see that, you know what you're going to see? You're going to see the distractions. Like your friends. Let me tell you something, y'all. That word friend is a blessed word. But if your friends are not empowering you by example, if they do not have a spiritual connection, because I'm going to tell you something, a real friend will not compromise themselves to have you, to have access to you. They won't. You know why? Because a person that has a connection with God first understands what intimacy is. They have a relationship with themselves. So if they don't have a relationship with themselves, guess what? They're unable to see their purpose. So their direction is like this. It's scattered. So then ask yourself this. Why put yourself in the midst of someone who does not know where they're going? And I'm not saying that as to support being an opportunist, because an opportunist, that's what they do. They get on any bus without knowing where it's going, even if it's a dead end. But lastly, that friend will always have your best interest, even if you can't see it. Even if that means you got to go your separate ways too. You know why? Because they always want to see you better than who you were before they met you. They don't want to watch you self-destruct or put yourself in a coffin or walk with somebody only to your destruction. A real friend won't do that. Why? Because a friend, at the least, is a display of unconditional love. So who's loving you? Because you should be a friend to yourself first. Don't worry, God will set the other stuff in place in the intended time. So, you going to take that emotional backpack off? Or are you going to end up like so many people? Time moves on. Because you can't get back yesterday. You can't. And you see it. It's written all over their face. You see the pain. All you got to do is be still and look. And I think a lot of people are starting to see, because there's a lot of people walking around exhibiting turmoil. They're so in that spiritual storm, and they don't mind pulling you in, because you know what? Misery loves company. Don't you ever, ever give up on your dreams and aspirations. Don't ever do that. It's not for sale, y'all. Your soul's not for sale. But it means not if you don't love you first. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. You know, what's really sad is the internet is forever. And the things you put on this internet, your generations going to see it. So stop worrying about what's in your wallet and invest what's in your heart. That's what's priceless. Love to hear from you. Like, subscribe. But more importantly, place God first in everything you do. Because you ain't living unless you have a relationship with Him first. I would love to hear from you guys. Oh, one thing before I go. I've had a lot of people ask me about doing a Q&A. And I want to tell you, I want to do that. And I want to open up the chat forum, do a live stream. If you have any questions, need some advice, or just want validation, that'll be a great place that we all can come together, talk about current events, and talk about where you're headed. Because I see your worth. Love to hear from you. Have a blessed week. Bye.